NewGenGamers.com.
But it's decisions like that that pretty much crashed the industry and pulled Atari down with it. Yeah. There is one positive about this version, and that's not one of them. You can pretty much skate in between, whereas you couldn't do so on the original version because they were bigger.
Ah.
But that's a look at the Donkey Kong for the 2600. Alright, everybody. We're continuing on here. Oh,
And
what's this? Donkey Kong?
More Donkey Kong.
More Donkey Kong.
But this
Wow,
is...
this one actually kind of looks like the game.
This game looks excellent, and it plays just like Donkey Kong Jr.
And Donkey Kong does not look like Chewbacca.
No cookies.
No cookies.
So we're seeing the powers that the 7800 could really process at this point.
Yeah, and
Not that Donkey Kong Jr. was the most advanced game, but
no, but for when the system came out, this is a pretty faithful port to the arcade version.
absolutely.
That's
Their
right.
game.
Yeah, Nintendo put this out before the Famicom was ready to be out, so I guess they thought they would be able to sell this in America. Unfortunately, they became the dominant system in America. For Atari, I guess.
Yeah.
Not really for them.
Yeah, unfortunate for Atari.
So as you can see, this is a port of the arcade game, and it's a very faithful port. Compared to the 2600 version of Donkey Kong, this is a masterpiece.
Where he looks like Chewbacca, and
The levels are all distorted and weird. This actually is very faithful
Yes.
no more cookies.
to the original, definitely. And of course, Donkey Kong Jr., the follow-up to the highly successful Donkey Kong,
I got it.
and
And Ray has
Jr.
won.
has saved Papa.
Thank God. So, continuing on with a little bit of the history of the 7800, we want to talk about the digital signature feature.
Yeah, it had a lockout feature built in because of things like Custer's Revenge.
They wanted to prevent any other games to come out like that. Now,
Yeah.
they would exist, but the thing Atari did this time was they made the 7800 run in 2600 mode, so it basically looked like a 2600 game.
Well, that's what the digital signature was. If the cartridge did not have the right signature and did not match up with the system, it would lock it out completely and the 7800 would not operate.
Well, the system would work, but it wouldn't work. It wouldn't use the 7800's architecture.
Right. It would,
Because the system basically had two modes on it. One where it wasn't like the newer backwards compatible consoles. This one actually had like two chips built into it to where it was running the 7800 architecture, using all the extra graphical bells and whistles and the extra processing power, and the other was 2600 mode, which would basically use the same architecture as the 2600.
yeah, it wouldn't actually be the 7800 playing the 2600 game, which is why you see that startup screen at the beginning. That's
the digital signature right
yeah,
there.
if it doesn't pass that, then
You
well,
are not playing your game?
that's when it goes into 7800 mode.
Yeah, that's what makes it, makes the games look like this instead of like the Donkey Kong we just played.
So, Ray is continuing to
Save Papa.
get to the top.
And it's a classic game. It's an
It's-
excellent level design.
It's Donkey Kong. Now, we'll also take a look at this game on the NES in Console Wars of the Past, so you can see comparatively, the NES one's a little bit sharper. With our actual video quality on the internet, who knows which one will actually look better, but
Yeah, that's true.
the NES one is the superior version graphically, but this one definitely isn't a letdown.
No,
Not at all.
It's no Chewbacca Donkey Kong.
And honestly, with the joystick, I think it plays a little bit better than the NES
Yes,
one.
the NES version's a little bit rigid.
with the D-pad. So this gives you more of the arcade feel.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I'm really used to the D-pad at this point.
And, well, let's talk about this wonky controller that we got with this thing, too. Because this is the stupidest thing I ever saw.
You apparently didn't see the 5200 controllers.
No, I didn't. But I guess this is the evolution of, okay, the 2600 had the joystick, then they tried the paddle. Both are good input devices. Where do you go from there?
Put them together.
Mash them together.
It's the joy pedal.
And guess what?
That's not what they actually called it, is it?
No.
Okay, I think they should have, though.
And let's just face the fact, those two things should have never bred.
Okay, so
This monstrosity.
yeah, this is a terrible
This is an
looking
inbred
device.
baby right here. This is not good.
It's an oblong rectangle that you
It looks like
try and hold in your hand, but can't quite figure out the right way that you're supposed to be holding it.
it looks like a classic 80s TV remote with a joystick and 2 buttons on the side.
With a giant Atari logo.
Yep.
So the joystick protruding out of the top can be moved around like the 2600's joystick, but you can also spin it like the paddle. So you've got both functions with the same joystick. Very early 80s, very hip.
Very hip. And with a very 80s look. The black and orange.
Unfortunately,
Halloween was in.
Unfortunately, there were many things that Nintendo brought that Atari did not see coming. One of them was the directional pad, and anyone who played with that instantly threw this thing on the floor and stepped on it.
Speaking of which.
But it isn't bad for some arcade games, so let's move on.
Let us move
We're
on.
going to take a
Let
look
us-
at one more 7800 game here before we have to go. So,
Have to go because there really wasn't that much to hold on to with this thing. With only 70 actual 7800 titles ever, or I mean 60 actual 7800 titles ever released.
we're running out of games quickly.
Yeah, and there weren't that many good ones.
I got Donkey Kong, and now I'll get you too, Junior.
I'm Donkey Kong Jr., and that's my papa. I'm trying to save him, and boy, do I need your help.
Nintendo's Donkey Kong Jr., the arcade game, is now the Super Home video game.
Save your papa, huh? Save yourself first.
He's chasing me with snapping jaws, and I could fall.
Help Donkey Kong Jr. save his papa on your ColecoVision, Atari 2600 VCS, or Intellivision video game system.
Game players everywhere, please help me save my papa.
New Gen Gamers.com.